Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise, and we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello and welcome, dear viewer and listener. Always a thrill. Actually, it's we've been doing this now. This is our 4th year with this podcast. We're always excited to bring life-changing business information, new guests, international guests, and I have one such international guest, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and the Netherlands, and you'll find out why I'm excited about this guest. But before we talk about the business of entrepreneurship, the business of apparel, clothing, apparel, and fashion, which is where he's focused. Before we get into it, please do me the small favor of striking that subscribe button, and also if you can hit the notification bell so that as soon as this podcast drops, you're among the first to be notified. And we really need your support, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome Mr. Royal Mwale.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so honored that you've honored our invitation. But let's start with the background. Tell them exactly, a little bit about your background and, and your story.
Okay.
From the point of view of why we're here.
Okay. So, my name is Royal Mwale. I'm a Zimbabwean and I'm based in the Netherlands. Professional rugby player and venturing into entrepreneurship, focusing on clothing and apparel. And yes, it's been an interesting journey, short journey, but exciting one. And that is why we're here.
Academically,
so I went to Falcon College in Zimbabwe, which is a private school. And then from there, I went to Wits University. I focused on, I did English teaching. And I've also done courses in sports nutrition and general nutrition as well. I've always been focused around sport because as a professional athlete, I needed to know how to look after myself and my loved ones, hence the nutrition courses that I did. Yes.
They call you Zimbabwe's number 2 rugby player. Why number 2? Who's number 1?
No, so number 2 is the position that I play. So I've played for the national team. Glory to God, it's been 12 years now. And but the body's tired now, hence the entrepreneurship. But yes, it's been a privilege to play for the national team for the last 12 years.
How many years totally you played for rugby?
I started playing for Zimbabwe. I started playing in 2012 up until last year.
Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of your studies, you're split between sports and whatever other academic courses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And how was that experience?
It was smooth, if I can put it that way, because it was something that I was passionate about. Being in the sports world and having to do sports nutrition, it was something that I was already doing. But I never ventured into working as a sports nutritionist because I've always had a contract as a professional athlete. So it's just courses that I hold to my name. I'm a qualified English teacher as well. I did that in my part-time. I've played in Spain for 4 seasons. I've played in Portugal. So part of a rugby contract is having to teach the youth, and it's always a bonus being a foreign player and having to do the rugby clinics in English, hence the background of English teaching that I did. Yes.
Wow. Now we'll go a little bit deeper on your rugby story, but for now, let's talk about the business side. The name of your company is Royal Port.
Yes.
Tell us about the ideation, how that came about, and what the business now is started doing.
Okay, so Royal Port The name port is basically a place where everything originates from and everything comes in. So Royal Port is basically the hub of all the other businesses that we have. It's a place where we distribute from, and it's basically the mother companies of all the other companies that we run in Southern Africa. Yes.
All right. And what does it do essentially?
So we offer clothing for women, men, and children, and we are looking to be a powerhouse in Southern Africa, in line with your Edgars, your Woolworths. That's where we're looking to be in the future. And yes, and yeah, that's it.
So the main objective is to get to what size, or to have a footprint of what size?
The goal is to have focusing on 7 countries.
Namely?
Obviously Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Swaziland, Zambia, Malawi, and Angola. Yes.
And when did the company start? And what can you tell us about your achievements so far?
Okay, so the company started about a year and 4 months ago. That's when we ventured into this project. Let's do this. And it's been a lot of groundwork, building the foundation, bringing in consignments, and trying to get the brand to be known by people. And we've achieved quite a lot in such a short space. We've managed to open a shop at Northgate Mall. Yes. And we also have
Northgate Mall, huh?
Yes.
Where you're basically selling.
So we have a boutique there, and we're basically selling our brands from that shop. And it's doing quite well. Glory to God. A lot of people are excited about a brand coming from Europe that is hitting the market in season. So I think that's the advantage that we have. And our pricing is very, very reasonable. Yes. And
it's really focused on men, women, or is it sports? What is the main focus?
Okay, so it's casual wear, and it's the whole range from children, which is boys and girls, ladies and men.
Okay.
Yes, and we own our own brands. So we have a brand called Accept, that is for ladies, the ladies range. Refill is for men, and then J&M is for boys and girls.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, and what else in terms of the footprint? Tell us about Netherlands. Is this to say that that's where you're based, or how does it work?
Okay, so Netherlands, yes, is the place that I'm based, and the mother company is actually in the Netherlands itself. So this is like a Dutch product. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I asked you about ideation, and maybe without giving too much of your IP, you can tell us how the idea formed in your head and what you saw in terms of what really triggered your interest.
Yes. Interesting story. So I'm always surrounded with entrepreneurs, the directors of the rugby, the sponsors themselves, multi-millionaires. So I had a thought, and I said, I'm always with these people. They admire the way I play rugby. I spend time with them, but why is it that I'm not where they are? So hence the birth of me wanting to do what they do. So for example, who was my boss at the time and my sponsor has 250 shops in the Netherlands alone. They compete with Zara and H&M. That's the level they are at.
Who's that?
So his name is Mitch van Doorsson.
Yeah.
Very close friend of mine. So I went to him and I told him that I would love to do the same thing in Africa. Hence the birth of Royal Port. And I obviously sat down and looked at a couple of countries. And one would ask why I didn't go to South Africa. And for me, like I said, Botswana is by far the best place to start a business for entrepreneurship. The pool is very strong. It's been strong for the past decades. So for me, it was a place that I would want to go and grow. Hence, I partnered with an old-time friend of mine that I went to school with in Zimbabwe. And the mom is a business person. She's doing quite well here in Botswana. So we partnered to open up Royal Port in Botswana.
So this gentleman with 250 stores is in a sense your mentor.
He is my mentor, yes.
Did he give you a few ingredients as to the secret of success?
He did, but for me, it's an advantage coming from Africa because you always want to do something. He did give me hints of things that I needed, but that hunger that I have because of where I came from triggered more things. I did a lot of research, international logistics, documentation needed, etc. But I always go to him. He is my mentor, and I get to ask him for help.
So if I was to push you to say, give me the 3 top, key ingredients for success, according to your mentor, what did you say?
Number 1, have a plan, write things down. And number 2 is start. You have to start. And I've realized that no one will take you seriously, for example, in the business world, if you only have an idea or the plan, which is the number 1 ingredient, and you don't have action. So for me, I knew I had to open a company. So I opened a company before I got the product. So that way investors, everyone took me seriously. Oh, you're actually on the way to doing something. Let me help you.
It's good to start even if you're not ready.
Yes. Because everyone can dream, but everyone's afraid to start. They fear all these challenges. So I think you just need to have the plan, have bold enough to start. And the 3rd ingredient is to just believe in yourself. Yes.
So before you started your business, you played rugby in how many countries?
Quite a lot. So I've played in the first country I played for in Europe was in Spain. Then from Spain, I got a better contract in Portugal. I played for Benfica, which is quite a big club. Our soccer team played in the Champions League, which was really quite interesting. And then from there, I went to Poland on a short stint, and then I ended up in the Netherlands.
Okay, so the total number of years in your rugby career is how many years?
At high level, I played a total of about 10 seasons, which is 10 years.
10 years?
Yes.
And what would you say were the highlights? In terms of the highest achievements that you did, that's individually or even collectively with your teams?
Yes. Winning Africa Cup with the Zimbabwe national team was something that was...
When was that?
That was in 2018 in Kenya. Yes. That was obviously one of the highlights, and obviously playing in a World Cup qualifier. Unfortunately, we didn't make it, but that was really an achievement as a squad, as a people of Zimbabwe trying to bring up the nation. Was really nice to be part of. Yes. And
like I noted earlier, you're the number 2 player, is in position 2.
Yes.
But I wonder if there are any parallels between rugby and business, any kind of similarities to succeed in.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I think, like I say, glory to God for this career in rugby, because it's taught me a lot of things in life. I figured out that you need teamwork, because with rugby there's 15 people that play in a team, and everyone has a specific position. So for me, I knew that I needed the right team. I can't do anything by myself. So that took away pride, and I knew I had a role to play, and so did others, and we came about. So rugby has shaped who I am, punctuality, do it as much as being in part of a team, doing my best as if I was alone and everyone else doing the rest. So it's taught me a lot of things.
Being a team player and being punctual.
Being punctual, yes. I think
key.
Yes.
And you took that from rugby and used it in entrepreneurship. I
yes.
guess.
And the work ethic, being a player on contract. Think of your Cristiano Ronaldo. He has to perform every week. So for me, when it came to, I would say maybe situations where the boys would want to go and have fun, I knew I had to have an early night or put in an extra session. So it's taught me to do things unmonitored. Yes, it comes from within. It's the same ethic I have with work. Everyone is asking, why are you working so much? Are you not the boss? But then I say, it doesn't mean I don't have to work. So that brought this work ethic out of me. Yes.
You even work harder than the employees.
Yes, I put in 20-hour shifts sometimes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, so have you actually closed the door on rugby, and why?
Yeah. Recently, actually, a month ago, I did. I still had 2 years in my contract, but I knew that to build something that will outlast me, which is the goal with this company, I had to be on the ground, and also the image that I portray to the people that work for me. I knew at the back of my mind, me being in Europe and have them having to think I have this different lifestyle and constantly asking for, daily reports. It didn't sit well with me. I needed them to see the type of person I have, the work I put in, and to also show them that it's possible. So that's the reason why.
As in your team?
My colleagues, my workers, and also my partners. Hence, I decided to close the door on rugby because it's a big commitment. We train sometimes 2-3 times a day and 5 times a week. Every weekend you're playing away. It takes all your time. So I knew committing to another season is basically
2 more seasons you still have.
2, yes. It's basically 80% of my time. And so for me to build this, I needed to be here to see the daily growth of the business, to learn how the customers.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing I've read about rugby is that there's always a risk of injuries, and that it's physically very challenging.
Yes.
What has been your experience?
I could write a book about injuries. I've had so many surgeries.
Really?
Yes. Broken so many bones.
Really?
Yes. But like I say, it's also like business. There's highs and lows, and it was worth it. Let me put it that way, because it was my passion. It's the place where I could express myself. But I knew that it came with challenges, and I experienced the same in business.
What bones did you break, and how
so I've broken my radius, I've broken my ankle, I've broken my jaw, I've dislocated my shoulders, to name a few.
But you're laughing about it. It sounds terrible.
It happens in an instant. But yeah, when you reflect, everything always looks as if it's bad, but one of my favorite quotes is, "It could be worse."
It could be worse.
Here I am.
And indeed, there are those who suffered brain injuries, which are the worst.
Concussions. I've had concussions before, but not to the severe level of having to stop or so, because of the impact. People say it's a contact sport, but it's more like a collision sport. Everyone is at least 110 kgs running full speed at each other and tackling each other. So it's quite.
Do you have any favorite teams at the moment?
Yes. I support Australia. Yes, I've always been an Australian fan, and I enjoy watching the Wallabies play.
Are they the current champions?
No, they are not. Hopefully they'll win.
The last I heard was when South Africa won, so I don't know who the current champion is.
Yes, South Africa is, but like I said, I hope that Australia wins, but I doubt it very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
You chose to start your business in the Netherlands. Why the Netherlands?
Because I was based there, and it was easy for me to get things from suppliers and ship from my own company. And for big clients to take me seriously, I had to have my own company and not be like a middleman. Hence, I started the business in the Netherlands. Yes.
Well, how did you end up in the Netherlands in the first place?
I was coming out of my contract in Poland, and I had France knocking on the door. And when it comes to rugby, France is the place you want to go. It's the highest paying place, and I'm on the older end now and on my way out of my career, but I've always wanted to go to France. So when this opportunity came, obviously I was going to take it, and then the Netherlands came as well. Netherlands had more money. It was a lower league compared to France. Pride wanted to take me to France to show guys, I've made it, but something just told me, just go to the Netherlands. I don't know what it was, but there was a force that told me, just go to the Netherlands and enjoy the rest of your playing careers. But
is the language not a barrier there?
Good thing is everyone speaks English, but also a few years playing in South Africa, Afrikaans is similar to Dutch. So it wasn't much of a barrier. And like I said, everyone speaks English.
So you could get along.
Yes.
All right. And what did it take to start the business in a place like that? What are the logistical challenges associated with getting started?
it's a big challenge. Obviously, you have to register a company. You have to have the right documentation. There's different documentation for import and export. So I had to learn a lot of things about international exports and it made me learn a lot of things that the company that who was my boss then, who is now my business partner, never knew about, because they only import. They have warehouses everywhere in Bangladesh, in Bulgaria, in China. So it's only import. Mostly the Europe imports. It doesn't really export. So now clothing, yes. They bring in clothing. So now it was now something different. Now they had to export. So they also learned a lot of things as a company, and it was amazing that it came about from a boy from the village, if I can put it that way. Yes.
So you introduced a totally new business idea. By that I mean, business model for them.
New business model, new market. Africa was never on the...
So were you an employee then?
I was a part-time employee, because rugby is not full-time, it's part-time. So you get to work and then you get to train in the evening and play. So I was there as an employee, teaching business English, which was my background, which I had studied before. And I was also in the inbound team, which was logistics. So I learned a lot in the inbound. I knew the ins and outs. I knew how to order shipment, bringing in. So that triggered learning more about exports, and I knew who to deal with. And the company ended up finding new logistic companies that were charging them 2,000 euros less per consignment, but because they never really looked at other ways, because they've always done business. So the company is 40 years old. They were successful. But now I came about wanting to ship things to Africa. Of course, I looked for the cheapest way. And I was like, did you know there's this company? And when they looked into it, they realized, wow, we could actually save a lot of money. So a lot of advantages come about from this. Yes.
Okay. So, and of course you decided to open on your own. And I'm interested in that transition from being an employee to being your own boss.
Yes.
Can you share on that?
Yeah. Like I said, part of me was telling me you can't do this. Most of me, let me put it that way. But there was something that told me you could be something, you could be the difference. And I knew what it took. So I just took the bold step of, okay, let me register a company first. Let me do the right things. Let me get exclusivity for these brands. So that's what I started doing. And the more I pursued one thing, I realized I can do this. And before I knew it, I had my own company. Yes.
And it's been in existence almost 2 years now.
Yeah, almost 2 years now.
Okay.
Yes.
Why did you decide to relocate to Africa then? Not to relocate, but to spread your wings to Africa.
My goal is to empower people. Like I said, on social media, I have a lot of followers from rugby, and people, how has he done this? How has he done that? For me, I wanted
more
to
than
bring about
50,000 on Instagram, which for me is a miracle. I can't get my Instagram to shift one bit.
Hopefully it will change.
It's been stuck in one place between 5,000 and 6,000, somewhere there.
Yeah. So I noticed that people were curious to see the lifestyle. How is this guy doing this? How did he get there? So hence I decided, you know what, let me go and be in the midst of the people. And like I said, the main goal is to empower people, is to show them that it's possible. Because I've realized that most people that do entrepreneurship or become successful, they still stay outside. So outside Africa.
Yeah.
And it always, the goal seems not reachable for everyone.
It really limits them massively, you know?
Yes, because then they say, it's because he's there that he's doing this. No, let me go to the heart of the people and actually do work from there. And that's why I decided to come back. Yes.
Coming in as a foreign investor in Botswana, were there any challenges associated with starting a business here?
Yes, but I did my homework. So the right team, the team I was speaking about, really helped me, and I needed certain people to get this going. And in some places, obviously, having to take a back seat. And like I said, everyone has a role to play. But there were challenges. There's a lot that I had to learn when it comes to documentation, etc. Yes.
Why, of all things you could have started, did you choose fashion and apparel? Actually, I want you to define the word apparel before you tell us why you chose it.
Yes. I've always been passionate about how I dress, how I look, and I felt like it really leaves an impression on people. So I've always been trying to trend when I go to occasions, etc. And meeting this guy that was already in that, I knew that this was my way out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I ventured into fashion, and I know that
apparel means clothes, right?
So yeah, it's basically clothes. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
apparel is clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, clothing, garments.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You still don't tell me the real reason of all things. You could have picked shoes, you could have picked cars, but you chose clothing.
The other big thing is that when you go overseas, mostly for me, what I realized is that you can go there with ideas, but the money is back home, and business is here. Botswana
is in Africa.
It's in Africa. But you go there and you see ideas. Some people get lost and they get excited with the lifestyle, but if you are really woke, you see the ideas and you bring them home. And for me, I know that most of the market is flooded with cheap Chinese goods. So I wanted to bridge that gap, that it's affordable to buy quality clothes, and if I bring them in bulk, then it can be cheaper. It's accessible to people. So I knew that in terms of competition, there won't be much. So that's the advantage I had. That I need to get these things from Europe and not secondhand, brand new from the shops in the Netherlands into the market. So that's why I decided to venture into clothes, because everyone wants to look good. People would rather be hungry and still look good. So hence I brought clothes to Africa.
Is there going to be a manufacturing component in what you do?
Yes, that's the future goal. Yes.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Okay, so like I said, my business partner, who was my former boss, who's now my business partner, he's retail, so he has manufacturers that bring in. I'm not yet at that level of manufacturing, hence only one boutique, but we're looking to have maybe spread out, go to Kanye, go to all these other places. We can do that, but the future goal is to get directly from the manufacturers and hence distribute from Botswana into Southern Africa. So this, in maybe 4 or 5 years, we will get from direct manufacturers into Royal Port.
The richest man in the world is in fashion. You know him. You know the richest man in the world? Arnold something, LVMH, the owner of Louis Vuitton.
Oh, yes.
So he's the richest man in the world.
Yes.
Has that influenced you in any way? And I'm still curious. I mean, you'd think that somebody would be in real estate, would be in tech, would be in some of these other areas where you think a lot of money is involved.
Yes.
But fashion at number one.
Yes.
And you also have embraced fashion. Yes. What are your thoughts on that?
So with all these real estate, car dealerships, all these big things, they're big, but they're slow. But they're slow. Slow, yes.
How do you mean?
Retail, you have walk-ins every day. Clothing, food. People buy food every day to survive, or clothes. So clothing can be a gap to have real estate. Whereas if I start with real estate, I'm basically banking on something that will manifest in years. Whereas I can have something that brings in money every day, and then in 4 or 5 years, I can still venture into real estate, like you said, or solar projects.
In other words, real estate, you get paid once a month, whereas clothing is every day.
Every day. Every day you get paid.
Especially if you position yourself well.
Yes. Yes, that is key. So I feel like it's a faster way to get capital for whatever you may desire, be it real estate. Yes.
What sets your clothing and your apparel apart from what we're getting out there?
The quality. That's number one. So the quality, and I say that because, like I said, it's sourced in the Netherlands. And Netherlands is one of the best countries in Europe. So like you mentioned Louis Vuitton. So as you go more Western Europe, which is your France, Italy, you get your Prada. Those are your designer. So the Netherlands is part of that group of your Louis Vuitton, Gucci, which is well known and very posh. So in terms of quality, like I said, a big retail competitor will be Zara and H&M. So the difference between my company,
those are huge.
Those are massive, yes. So the difference between those brands and my brand is only because they are worldwide, and we are more nationwide only in the Netherlands. We have a few shops in Germany and Belgium. So now I'm now bringing in the clothes that everyone knows. This is similar to Zara. So I'm trying to get people to know that this is literally the same as, if not better. Yes. So with quality, I know that it's second to none, and we are bringing clothes in the right season. Whereas with all these other big brands, what usually happens, say it's winter right now, they will sell their winter stock, and then when summer comes, they will take that out, keep it for next winter, and a month before the following winter season, they will bring it in pop-up shops and say last season to buy last season goods. So by the time all these big brands that people know hit Africa, these clothes are 2 seasons old.
Behind.
Yes. Whereas I'm getting them directly from our shop. If it's winter that season, obviously Southern Hemisphere will be summer. So as soon as they are changing that, we are not keeping to try and resell it. It's going straight to Royal Port. Yes. So you find out that you get whatever was trending in Europe that season in the same season in Africa, and it's never been done before.
Okay.
Yes.
And coming from a sports background, how are you leveraging rugby and sports to generate sales?
Interesting one. With sports, it's like I said, with the following, it's you get a lot of followers if you play sport in all these places that I've. So the support is from a rugby perspective, and everyone's, you're now into clothing. Everyone is coming there to support. Yeah, so I'm using social media and my followers to promote the business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about Zim. Depending on your point of view, at least the last 10 years, the view was that Zim was in decline.
Yes.
And there was a little bit of stigma attached to being from Zim, which I think is ending now.
Yeah.
Did that impact you in any way coming from Zim, positive or negative?
Both. More on the negative, like you said, that saying my is from Zimbabwe, etc. But that drove a hunger in me to want to do things the more.
Yes.
Yes. But yes, it's been challenging, and you have to prove yourself, etc. But now, being an entrepreneur, it doesn't really matter. I've realized it doesn't really matter where you're from. Hence, me being based here and to try and show people that it's possible to do anything anyway. Yes.
And when you say negative, what were they saying to you? No, what was happening as a result?
It's more like you're looking to con people, should I say? That's the first mentality they have. He's from Zimbabwe. Maybe he's just trying to sell us a dream and run away. And how can he possibly think of 4 or 5 years to come when the economy crashes and you can't really tell what will happen next in Zim, inflation and all those things. So that's been a challenge to try and tell people your vision, your goal, and to let them buy into it. But now I'm more into action and having them to see what's happening and them buying in. Yeah.
And you're active not just in the Netherlands and Botswana, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about the countries you are involved in and what you're doing in those countries.
Also clothing. It's a different company altogether. So based in Zimbabwe, in Bulawayo in Victoria Falls, then in Zambia as well, in Lusaka, then in Johannesburg, and I'm looking at Durban and Swaziland in the next 3 months.
And what is the approach? Is it just to open stores or what?
Just to open stores and to get the brand to be known. Yes.
Okay.
Or more like a franchise is what I'm looking at getting.
So you're active, if I'm not mistaken, 6 countries.
Yes, 6.
Or 6 locations.
Yes.
How challenging is that logistically, or from a management perspective?
Oof. Yeah, like I said, 20-hour shifts. You're never really at rest because you're constantly thinking, I need to do this, and you're planning what could possibly go wrong, etc. It's exciting, but very, very challenging. So it still comes down to having the right team and micromanaging people, which I think is very hard, and I have to learn. Yes.
Well, maybe manage, not micromanage, because micromanage means you're over their shoulders watching everything. And is that humanly possible?
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. So it's more like managing, but somehow micromanaging from a distance that you have to do.
Yeah, using technology and systems.
Yes.
And what systems are you using in that regard?
Mostly we just rely on cameras that are linked to phones and pay point systems that are also linked to email reports and all those things. Not to, like you said, be on people's shoulders but just to run a system, like there's a system in the way things are done, and for people to buy in and see that that stock management is basically what business is. So the inventory, so it becomes second nature to write a report about the day, whether there was zero sales or not. So they get accustomed to knowing what's in the shop, what's in storage, instead of just selling and thinking, looking at the daily numbers, thinking, we've done well. So I think that system now teaches them to see that they need to know when to restock. They now know. So it becomes second nature.
Yeah. Do you normally train people yourselves, or you poach from other shops?
Mostly train, hence being on the ground, because like I said, I would like to see the way, I'm not perfect, but I would like them to see the way I work, and hopefully they can do the same. Because I want the company not to do well because Royal was there. I want the company to just be, whether it's in Zambia, to have the exact same experience if you go to the one in South Africa. And so I want people to have the same work ethic, same vision, same goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the markets you mentioned, the bigger populations, Zim, Zambia, compared to Botswana, does that mean those markets are necessarily doing better than in Botswana?
No, they're not. Of course, they may have more sales, but Botswana, like I said, entrepreneur perspective and investing is the only country that I can think of. Like I said, Royal Port, hence it's the hub. Still, things get distributed from here. So I'm looking to also grow the economy and to be involved in bringing work, etc., to Botswana. Yes, things can go everywhere. South Africa, like I said, I could have based myself in South Africa, but everything seems to be from South Africa. So I wanted something to be known in Botswana that is not just tourism,
not just diamonds. Yeah.
Not diamonds, but something that brings people here. Yes.
Okay. Now, when you are running an international businesses, you inevitably have setbacks, you have challenges. So I'm going to ask you to share on the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
In that regard.
Yes. Let me start with the ugly. Things are never on time. There's so many delays. I think that's one of the biggest challenges when it comes to things like shipments. If there's an issue with Eskom in South Africa, the trains don't move. So things are never really on time. So that's a very, very big challenge. There's theft as well that you have to...
You have encountered that?
Yes, we've encountered that, and we had to deal with that and work ways around of learning how not to get that to happen again. So that's really the ugly part of this. And some things you can manage, but they'll still be there, but at small scale. I think that's the end goal, to try and minimize these things. But yeah, delay and theft and also the right product. You know, something might be good in Europe, but here people don't like it. Yes, so that's also been like a challenge with international, because you think because something is from America, it will do well in Botswana. That's not the case. So all these days, we've had products that don't sell
at all.
Like, oh, this is ugly. And I'm like, but do you have an idea how much this is there? You know, but that doesn't. At the end of the day, the client is the most important person. So those challenges have been there. But the good also is that you get to bring something that people are not used to, people are excited about, and also a lot of companies are willing to help if you're doing something in Africa. So I get a lot of support, and people encourage me to do this. And pricing is also good because it's more like a giveaway price, which is it's stuff that they might not need, but we need. So it's a win-win for both. So that's also the good things about international business.
Okay.
Yes.
You mentioned theft as one of the challenges. Do you have some guidelines as to how to deal with it when you discover an employee stealing, for instance?
Yeah. The first thing, obviously, is to sit down with them and find out. I mean, you will have proof that they have stolen. It depends with the magnitude they have stolen, because people will always...
It always starts small, isn't it?
It always starts small, but I believe in second chances, and I always give people a chance and say, okay, how did it come about? Did you have an issue? Why did we not talk about this, etc.? And I always say, you know what? I'll give you a second chance to... In that case, then if we have to release people, then they understand why they have to. Of course, we would have to put different measures now to monitor them.
I've come across companies that say 0 tolerance for theft.
Yes.
You get fined, you get caught, you get fined. What's wrong with that policy?
There's nothing wrong with it, but now you keep bringing people in and teaching them. Sometimes you might have a John and Jack, right? So Jack only does accounting. John does accounting, logistics, etc., and they both steal. And then I would rather let Jack go because he only does one thing, but I still need this guy. But I'll use...
He's got skills, but he steals.
But the other one has one skill. But then I would use that guy that like, I'm aware that you're doing this, don't. But then I can still get more out of him. Because if it's 0, then I'm restarting. If the next person steals, I keep going.
Yeah. So in other words, you can work with the imperfections of your employees, including the imperfection of being a thief. You don't want to put it boldly, but that's what it means.
Yes, because there is no one in business. There's no one perfect. There is no, but there's some things that you can manage, and things that you
have to work around.
Like straight away. Okay, this person has to go. Yes, like we've encountered situations where people had to go. Some even left before we told them because they knew the magnitude of. With some, it's daily things and like, listen, I noticed you're doing this, don't do this, and yeah, I've had a couple of businessmen cry that overseas suppliers would sometimes insist on being paid up front before delivery. Yes. And I've had so many people in Africa crying that people ran off with their money after being paid. What do you do to guard against that particular problem? So like for me, I specifically go physically to ship the things myself. So if it's in time for summer and I need summer, I would leave. If it's a month before, I will pre-plan the logistics they pick up. I physically go and scan the products that I want and choose what I want and seal the container myself. Not from a security point of view, but I have access to that and I prefer to go and choose because I know what people want. Whereas if I tell them pack this, they would pack things that might not sell. So it limits the risk of that. I've heard others saying to deal with that, they would have an agent, for instance, in China, a trusted agent who does that for them. Yes. Is it not an approach that you use? It's not, because remember, I worked at this company and I'm close friends with the owner. So like I said, I have access to the back door. You have an unfair advantage. I have an unfair advantage to physically go and choose what I want directly from the store. That's a huge advantage. It is. Yes, it's by grace. Yeah. So I choose to go in and pick myself. But like you said, when the business grows and now we deal with manufacturers, then we might encounter those problems, definitely. What about the covering yourself legally with things like LOCs and so on and so forth? Yes. Are you familiar with how that works? To a certain degree, yes. But the nice thing with opening companies overseas is it comes with all that package. So I have a lawyer in the Netherlands, someone that is involved with international trade to protect me and all those things in place already with opening an international company. Yes. So that really helps. So you have all the paperwork, so you don't really have to pay upfront? No.
They give you what, up to 90 days, 150 days?
150 days, yes.
That's very generous. How did you manage to negotiate that when everybody is given cash or 30 days?
Yeah, well, like I said, the unfair advantage is this guy is a friend before anything. And so I have that privilege of having to get things and the luxury of having to sell and pay. Yeah.
Now, how is the competition in Botswana and Southern Africa?
Like I said, I thought business is business. Sometimes you think you have a product and it sells. The challenge is they don't know the product, or they know the competitors that are. They know Zara, so it's like Zara. Now we're having to convince people. That's the challenge. So people will tend to buy brands that they know. So of course our marketing now, advertising has to be really, really high. So that's competitors wise, we have to drop our prices, and we can afford to do so because we bring things in volume. So our pricing brings people, and now they get to know the brand. Oh, but how come you guys are cheap? So we slowly bringing people in to get to know the brand. But also one of the biggest challenges with competitors, people are so used to buying second-hand clothes. Even if it's cheap, now they think it's not good quality. People still tend to go to BBS market and buy second-hand clothes.
Well, some market is sophisticated in that sense. Am I right?
Yes.
There are those who do that. There are those who want things brand new.
Brand new, yes. But also with brand new, like I said, now, yes, some people know the brand, but people still choose to go to the shops that they know. Yes, because they believe the quality is better.
It's a very interesting business. Does insurance play a role? Do you need to insure, and if so, how does it work?
Usually we only insure in transit. Once the goods are here, then not really. But the goods are covered from the moment they leave the warehouses in the Netherlands and on shipment.
How do you go about doing that for those who might be interested
in the insurance?
In the process of insuring and covering the consignment?
So usually with the shipping company that you'll be dealing with, like I work with a forwarding agent that works with MSC, and they have
It's
a package.
a big international one, eh?
Yes, it is. It's based in Rotterdam. That's the main port in the. So they cover insurance for the goods that they ship until it's delivered. So should there be any hiccup in transit from South Africa to here, then it's covered. Yes.
I'm a big believer in mentorship. Either you have a mentor, you already mentioned his name, or you're mentoring someone. And I think in business is a very important component.
Yes.
Is it something you believe in?
It is.
And if so, how you walking the talk, as it were, how you applying it?
So I think the moment you ask for advice from your mentor, you already have ideas of the way you want to do things. So it's more of hearing from their experience what they've done and trying to implement what you know. So it's something that I rely on a lot because business is new to me. I have ideas. Like I said, I thought I can just sit and sell. Probably no one has. Everyone comes to me, but there's just so much. And also, you can't just be big. You have to go through stages. And I thought, I've listened to a lot of all these big people and say, oh, I've lost this and now I've built back. And I was no, that's not my portion. I'm just going to, you know. But no, there's every stage, and every stage requires knowledge of people that have gone through it. So I'm open to learning from everyone, not just people that I regard as my mentors, but also from every level. I always try and listen. I don't have to take it in, but I'm open to listen to hear people's advice. You never know who will help you. And that helps me quite a lot. And I really rely on that. And I'm always asking, how do you go about this when you reach this? And
so apart from the main guy, who are your other mentors?
I'm a very spiritual person. So most of my mentors are pastors, and just the way they carry themselves, humility, etc. So I'm more into that line of trying to be good and receiving good regardless of what I go through.
And who is the main guy at the moment?
He's late now. My mentor was TB Joshua. Yes, he's late, but I still listen to a lot of his teachings and I try and apply it in business. Yes.
Someone has taken over, right?
Yes, Pastor Evelyn Joshua, the wife, is leading the church now.
Okay.
Yeah. But I follow a lot of these guys, your Elon Musk, you know, and I just try and see how they do things.
So how has your faith and spirituality played a role in your success so far?
For me, it's everything. It's the foundation, and I try and do things by the book and try and not talk the talk, but do the things that I say and firmly believe. So, yeah, the first place I'm to prosper is spiritually before anything. And like I said,
can you give an illustration or example how the spirituality has played a role in what you're doing?
Like I said, it's everything for me. So I consult in prayer before I do anything. So nothing impulsive. Everything is more like calculated. And if I don't feel certain about something, I don't do it. I'd rather wait and pray until I feel this is the right time. A lot of people might not understand, there's an opportunity to make money here, there's this, but I always want to consult God first. I want to be at peace with what I'm doing. But it doesn't mean that I'm out of reach. Like I said, I've encountered a lot of things. Some things have only been revealed a year into the business. So that spirituality now teaches me how to deal with certain things. Hence, I told you I still give people chances because no one is perfect. I'm not perfect myself. And if I required people to be perfect, I'll probably not work with anyone. Yeah. So
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm in the real estate field, and a lot of entrepreneurs, when I speak to them, complain about the cost of rental, retail especially.
Yes.
How has that, if at all, affected your business?
Yeah, it's quite high. But I think we positioned ourselves quite well at Northgate. It's the rentals are cheaper than, we're just separated by the A1, and you have, CBLE, you have Airport Junction, which is like twice the
rate per square meter.
The rate per square meter, exactly. So for us, the positioning is perfect. So I can't really complain because I think the shop is situated where it's really good, because your high-end clients that go to the other side can still drive across. Yes, and we can also reach out to the people that actually work in the malls. On their way home, they go past Northgate because they live in Lerumo, which is right behind. Yes. So now we have like A to Z clients. We cater for everyone. So let me not say I can complain much about the rentals of the shop because of where it is. Hence, our prices are quite low. Yeah.
What about in other locations?
Other locations, yes, it's a challenge. There's places that we've looked at and they wanted 3-month rental, and you still had to put the ceiling and the flooring, and the cost of startup was insane. Yeah. So I wonder how other people do it. Yeah.
But nevertheless, you still managed to open in 5 locations.
Yes.
So how was that? Outside Botswana.
I think, like I said, you can't be big. I wanted to be big. When we managed to do one, it was easy I now knew, for example, material needed, the right electrician, the plumber, this guy, shop fittings. So managing one and taking time to actually open Royal Port, it made it easy for me to open Victoria Falls without being there, because I knew what's
use the same guys.
Using the same guys, or just the guys that are on the ground there. But because I now know the amount of material, the amount of time needed, I can now open a branch without being there and using the right costs. So I think this slow growth has really helped in that regard.
Okay.
Yes.
Have we talked really about your brands in terms of individually what they are and what they represent? Are you able to break down your brands?
Yes. So we have 4 brands. Yes. So J&M is for kids.
J&M.
J&M, yes. And that stands for Jill and Mitch. Mitch is my former boss, who's now my business partner, who runs the whole operation in the Netherlands. So the mom was a designer. And so the mom and the father opened brands for the kids. Hence, it's for kids. So the kids' range is Jill and Mitch, sister and brother. So all the boys' range is Mitch, and all the girls range is Jill. So I have the exclusivity for the brand J&M in Africa. Yes. And then they have Accept, which came about from something.
Accept?
Accept.
Many exception.
It came from that. Like it's something that is exceptional, but it's EK.
Yeah.
EKS. Yes.
Oh,
Accept.
EK. Yeah.
Yes. They just came about the word Accept, which is range for women. So that's all the women range from accessories, from your sunglasses to belts to shoes. So we have the whole range from shoes as well. Hats, everything to do with women is Accept. And then we have a brand for men which is called Refill. Yes, which
Number
is
3.
Yes, this is the one that I'm wearing. Yes,
Oh,
I wear
okay.
my own clothes as well. Yes.
Oh, that's very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Refill is men, Accept is women, and then J&M is boys and girls. Yes.
What's the fourth one?
So that's and then we have we also house Vera Moda, which is the footwear for women only. Yes, it's a big brand. Vera
Women
Moda.
love shoes, eh?
Yes, we don't have shoes for men, but for women we do have shoes.
Yeah, women love shoes.
Yes, it's a good thing for us.
Yeah. So all these brands are sitting side by side in one shop.
In one shop, yes.
Okay.
They're only found in Royal Port and Cotton Closet, which is the other shops that I have in the Netherlands.
Cotton
Closet. Yes, it's the other shop that is in South Africa, Zambia, etc.
What does Vera Moda?
It's a brand. It's actually a shop.
What does it mean? Okay, it's a shop for shoes, I know. But,
yes.
But does it have a special meaning when you came up with the brand name?
Vera Moda is Italian. I would have to find out.
Oh,
but
you found it?
We house it.
Yeah,
but it's from the actual shop Vera Moda. Yes.
Okay.
I stand corrected, but I think it's Italian.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
It's an interesting name, Vera Moda.
Yes, and it's specifically for women. They have a clothing range, but they're well known for their shoes. Yes.
Okay. Now I want to ask you the money question. How does it feel like being a successful millionaire?
Millionaire. Oh,
yeah.
I receive.
Oh, you mean you're not?
I cannot say.
You're too modest to admit.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
I think you want to be neutral about that. Yeah.
The feeling is you can do more. You can, you have the luxury to want to do more. And for me, like I said, it's more about empowering people. So it gives me opportunity to help people the more. And that's what I get from it. And obviously, it's a good feeling to be able to do what you want to do at the time that you want to do it. So I think it comes with freedom.
So financial freedom.
Yes, it comes with financial freedom.
Flexibility to do what you want to do.
Yes. Yes.
And how are they responding to you back home, former village boy, reaching the levels you've reached, both through sports and through business?
They're really, really happy for me. And of course, I don't reveal much, so I'm just still the same. I'm still the same person, but they're really proud of me. And like I said, I want to be that person that changes the community, and for them to even be better. Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is not to be better than anyone, but to bring people up and to make them realize they can be better. So they are really happy that.
And neither of your parents are entrepreneurial?
No, I'm the first in the family
to go in the entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And you didn't have pressure to say, no, go to school, find a job, that kind of thing.
Of course it was there. And also, sports. No, we want you to be a doctor. We want you to do this. I've done well at school, but I think sports just... So
you rebelled with sports and then you rebelled with the entrepreneurship.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yes.
And how do you cope with that? And what advice would you give a listener or a youngster watching you who's facing that challenge from that pressure from parents?
Go for it. If you believe it, nothing can stop you. Go for it. Because even after I said I want to do business, they're used to you having a salary and playing rugby. Oh, what about rugby? They're still skeptical about it. It will not go well. So there will always be that challenge. But for me, I say start. That's the most important thing that I've learned. Like I said, if an investor was to come to you right now to say, No one will wake you up from your bedroom and say, I want to give you 1 million. But if you have a company, people can say, I want to use your company for this. I'll reward you. You have to have the tools. So for me, I say to everyone, go for it. And don't rush to reach the high levels.
Yeah.
Like I learned the hard way. I learned every stage, and it humbles you if you try and take shortcuts. So,
okay.
Yes.
Let's look into the future, 10, 15, and even 30 years.
Yes.
What do you see? What does the crystal ball say about the future of your own brand as Royal? And then, of course, these other 4 brands.
Okay. So the goal is to have this in a franchise shop in Southern Africa. That's where we see ourselves. Yes. You should be able to find, if it's Royal Port or it's Cotton Closet in for example, in Namibia, in this place, as you would find an Edgar's or a Woolworths. That's how we want to position ourselves. Yes.
Do you want to be as big as Woolworths and Ackerman and those?
No, that's too much.
I mean,
we just want
years.
to, in 30 years, yeah, well, it's not just clothing that we want to do. We want to do greenhouses. I want to do things that I've seen, like, for example, in Spain, it was big in greenhouses and it thrived because it was hot. And I'm saying, here we are in Botswana, so I want to look at agriculture. I want to do refrigerated logistics, things like that. But I want the clothes to be very spread out, not too big, and also to be accessible and cheap, and people to be able to afford what they think is trending in Europe at a affordable price.
So is the plan to have the clothes finance the other businesses? Because you mentioned solar as well earlier.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you see? Paint the picture for us. If all your dreams are attained, what will we have?
You would have a big empire, royal empire. Yes.
Made up of?
Made up of logistics, agriculture, clothing industry, and real estate.
Based in Botswana.
Based in Botswana. Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
Do you have a question for me, sir?
I would have 1,000, but I would ask you, how do you manage all these companies that you have? Because that's the challenge that I also have. So I would like to know from you how you manage to.
You can never manage 100%. All you do is to try. But the way I look at it is that you manage managers. So if you're lucky enough to have managers manning your individual divisions, and then have a system of reporting where you're able to monitor what they are doing and to see how you can empower them. Because I call myself the chief imagination officer as well as the chief growth officer for the company. So I try to set the tone and then see if I can have the other managers following. But the key thing is to just hope that you find the right people and to manage those people.
Yeah. Okay.
Simple.
All right.
Manage the managers.
Manage the managers.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Have a look at that camera, sir, and be kind enough to share a few words of wisdom to inspire the viewer finally as we conclude our conversation.
Okay. So I would like to say that from this little time that I've had in Botswana and the future prospects that I have for it, that it's open for business. It's a place that has a steady income. So I encourage everyone that is into entrepreneurship, everyone that wants to start something, to just start. You have a government that is willing to fund you. There's tenders in place. You just have to have a crystal clear plan, a goal, and just take action. So I just encourage everyone, whatever dream that you have, to just go for it, regardless of how long that it will take, because you will have lessons along the line. So you have to take every lesson, if I can put it that way, to get where you want to go. So go for it. That's my...
Okay.
Yeah.
How do people get in touch with your stores? What contacts can you share, even on social media?
Yeah, so we're big into on Instagram. So we have royalport_clothing. That's our handler. That's where we do a lot of our promotions and marketing. And we also have a Facebook page, which is Royal Port Clothing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
for coming.
Appreciate it.
All right. Cheers.